guys hot. Good morning. I know someone's gonna ask. I'm having a cup of coffee. Yes, I drink my coffee through a straw. Coffee and tea stains your teeth. So drink through a straw so you don't stain your teeth. Um, anyway, we are a couple of days out from the new year, and I know, like, this is the time, probably for the whole month of December, everyone's coming up with their New Year's resolution. So I actually gave a speech at my church back home, at home in Atlanta, and the speech was about, it was mostly about my journey over the years, and it was a little bit more of a personal thing. I shouldn't say it was personal, because if it was that personal, I wouldn't have shared it. But I think a lot of times as athletes, people forget that we're human and we have our demons and we have our things that we have to battle and our things that we have to overcome. And so that was one of the things that I shared in the speech a few weeks ago, and I thought that it was the perfect thing to share with you guys going into the new year. Like I said, I know everyone's kind of, thinking about what their New Year's resolution is going to be, and I know fitness is usually at the top of the list. Of course, fitness for me is a every year thing. I have London coming up this summer, so definitely on pace for training for that and just kind of getting ready for that. So that's always at the top of my list of things to do in the new year. As far as training, there's a couple of things that I'm working on. You saw my Workout Wednesday video. I've switched weight coaches, so I'm now working with Bruce Johnson, and there's things that we're working on there. There's things that I'm working on with my full-time coach, my track coach, Daryl Woodson, aka D2, as well as I'm going to call him my consultant, Otto Bolden. We each specifically work on different pieces that kind of put the whole puzzle together. So it's not really a New Year's resolution. It's kind of the same thing every year, but we put together a plan, we work on it, and that's that. But this is a little bit different. The speech is a little bit different in that it's not necessarily a fitness thing, but it's something that you can definitely apply to every aspect of your life. Personal, fitness, whatever goal it is that you have in mind. And one of the things that I've been working on over the last couple of years, and it changes every year, you work on something and then you figure out, oh, there's an area that I still need working on, and that's self-love and self-worthiness. So I preach a lot about celebrating the small victories, and I definitely have had some major victories this year, but I've also had some failures or some areas where I've fallen short. And one of the things that I want to work on going into the new year is not being so hard on myself in those moments of failure, or falling short, I should say, because it's not really, it's a failure when you don't learn from it. But okay, I'm going on a tangent. But I have a tendency of kind of getting really, really hard on myself when things don't go the way that I hoped they did. It takes me a while to come around and, like I said, find the victories, find the small victories in said failure or shortcoming, and celebrate those things. But then you of course have to go back and fix, what didn't go right. And like I said, I preach celebrating those small victories, but then I'm also very, very hard on myself when things don't go the way that they should. So I want to working on those things in a more productive way. I think it's important that you honor your feelings and honor the emotion that you go through, or that you feel when you go through a thing, but then you have to be productive in how you then deal with those emotions and move on from that. So that's my New Year's resolution. It's, again, building on something, or I should say one of my New Year's resolutions, but it's building on something that I've been working on over the years, which is to love others more, come from a place of love in everything that I do, and also to love myself more. And part of loving myself more is also not being so hard on myself. Yes, be honest and hold myself accountable and work on those things that need working on, but it's still an area that I can still love on myself and still say, hey, didn't go as planned, but we'll get through this and we'll fix it and we'll just take it step by step. So tell me below what your New Year's resolutions are. I hope you enjoy the speech. Of course, if you're not already subscribed, please do so. You will receive email notifications anytime I post anything up here. Lots of fun things coming, as I said. And yeah, Happy New Year, Happy New Year's resolutions, and let's stick to our goals this year. Bye.
I get the pleasure of introducing Natasha tonight and tell you a little bit about our history here. When Abby started Strong Rock in 6th grade, we knew that there was this young boy that couldn't come to school the first of school because he was at the Olympics with his sister and his mom. We're like, who is this kid? She comes home, she's like, oh, his name is Justin Hastings. So we look up Natasha Hastings, and in 6th grade, we're cheering in front of our TV for this woman we don't even know. And we're like, as Marjorie said, go, come on. And I mean, we were crazy. Well, we didn't know at that time that Justin would become Abby's best friend, our daughter. And he's like our other kids, so he spends a lot of time at our house. Excuse me. And this whole family's become special to us. And Joanne is like our family, and we love Natasha too. So she's and I get to live my life vicariously through Natasha. I feel like a worldwide traveler. I have been to every country, I feel like. I just go on Facebook. I go to Twitter and I say, where's Natasha today? And what fabulous outfit is she going to be wearing? I mean, you guys, this woman dresses like she should be in France walking on the catwalk or something. It's crazy. And not only that, she looks fabulous in everything she wears too. So I just want to thank you for being here tonight, Tasha, and welcome you. And you know what? There's not a lot to say because you're getting ready to tell us everything there is to know. I want to tell you this though. Sorry. Okay. Her first track meet, her mother said, you know what? My kid can't even run. That's probably surprising, isn't it? Because here we are with this Olympian. And by the way, if you do not know, her mother is also a track star. So Joanne actually came to America from Trinidad to run track. So that's what we have these two here with us today. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Things are going smoothly.
Good evening. So I've run in front of millions of people, so this should seem like nothing, but I've actually never spoken in front of my mom, so I'm terrified. But hopefully we get through this just fine. By the way, excuse my shoes. I feel like since you mentioned my outfit, I'm so nervous I couldn't wear the shoes that I actually wore to go with this outfit. So here we go. I am intelligent. I am beautiful. I am powerful. I am a champion. I'm an Olympic gold medalist, a leader, a sister, a daughter, a child of God. I am Natasha. I know most of you are here tonight to hear about my experience at the Games this summer, but I thought it might be more meaningful to share my journey to the Games instead. I don't remember when exactly I was introduced to track, but I do know from the time I realized I was faster than even the boys in my class, I always wanted to race. Both of my parents ran track and were pretty good, so it came naturally. I officially joined the team in January of 1996, and it was pretty much over from there. I looked awkward and clumsy in my Catholic school gym uniform, but my coach saw my potential, and with minimal training, I was beating everyone. That summer, the Olympic Games were held here in Atlanta, and I remember being glued to the TV, wondering if one day I could be one of those athletes competing for their native countries. I remember Jackie Joyner-Kersee, Gail Devers, Ato Bolden, Michael Johnson in those gold spikes. If you know me, there's no secret why those athletes stuck out to me. They were no doubt winners and on top, but they did it in style. It was after those games that I was sure one day I would be an Olympian. So I went on to run all through junior high and high school. I won states, nationals, set school, meet, state, and national records, some of which still stand. I earned a full scholarship to the University of South Carolina, where I studied exercise science with hopes of one day maybe being a chiropractor. There as well, I won a few championships, set school and national records, again, some of which still stand. I turned professional after my junior year of college, as my then coach told my mom, I can't keep her here. There's nothing left for her to achieve on this level. So I accepted an endorsement deal from a major shoe company and entered the professional world of track and field. I was touted as being the next best thing that the women's 400 would ever see. But soon after turning pro, I would find that things were nothing like high school or collegiate track. I was thrust into a tough, cold world that I had no idea how to navigate. I quickly went from having undefeated seasons to barely placing in events, and sometimes not even being invited to meets. I wasn't running anything close to what I was running in college, and when I turned to my agent, the only thing he could tell me was, run fast and I'll get you into meets. I made coaching switches several times, tried out for several national teams, and although I'd always make the relay team, in track and field you don't earn your keep without earning an individual spot on the team and then winning an individual medal. In 2012, I failed to make the Olympic team. I didn't even make the relay team. At that point, I was completely defeated and felt for sure I'd missed my shot. After all, I'd be 30 by the next Olympics in Rio. There was absolutely no way. I walked from the stadium back to my hotel room and wouldn't hear a word from anyone. I heavily considered quitting and going back to school. My mom, brother, agent, coaches, and friends all tried to talk me out of it, but I didn't want to hear it. After my emotions finally settled, my mom mentioned meeting a gentleman in the stands that happened to be a sports psychologist. He told her he'd watched my career over the years and felt that I hadn't tapped into my potential, and that he would love the opportunity to work with me. What I remember most about that conversation, though, was when my mom said, when I see you out there on the track, you don't even look like you believe you should be there. She asked me if I knew I was just as good, if not better, than the rest of the women I was up against. I didn't answer her, or maybe I didn't lie and said yes, but the truth was I didn't. The truth was, every time I stepped on the track, I was so rattled with fear and doubt, the race was long over before the gun even went off. So I took the doctor's number and gave it a shot. After all, what did I have to lose? The very first thing he asked me was, what do you think about before a race? Everything out of my mouth was a negative. I was focused on everything but my race. Is my contract going to be cut or reduced? Am I going to get into the next race? If I don't run a certain time, I'm sure I'm going home. Am I going to die coming down the home stretch? The doctor said, the first thing we are going to do is change your language. We're going to change your negatives into positives. He said, your contract is just fine. You will get into the next race, and you are going to come down the home stretch strong and powerful. I know it sounds simple, and by now you're probably thinking, yeah, right, that's not all it took. But I know you've heard Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Changing that language was extremely tough, and it took some practice, but I finally got it. I went to a meet at home in New York City, and we were skeptical about me accepting that invitation, as it seemed I couldn't handle the pressure of performing in front of all those people who by now probably considered me a failure. It was a cold and rainy day, but through my entire warm-up, I kept telling myself, it's hot and sunny in lane 7, my lane. The gun went off, and the next thing I knew, I ran the fastest time I had run in 6 years. And I was a close second to the fastest woman in the world at that time. I walked off the track stunned and excited all at once. I remember calling the doctor from the warm-up field and telling him I'm sure it was self-hypnosis because I couldn't remember a thing from the race, but it was perfect, and I turned every negative that came to mind to a positive. So we got the negatives to positives down. Now it was time to learn to focus on the process and staying in the moment. We put this plan into play, and slowly but surely we made improvements on my race that led me to win the U.S. National Championships and place 5th at the World Championships that summer. All of this just a year after thinking my career on the track was over. A couple years later, I was having some personal issues. A friend of mine recommended that I speak to a lady she had worked with that helped her through some issues of her own. So again, what do I have to lose? I took her number and we met for coffee. She said to me, "So Natasha, what do you want in life?" I said, "Well, I want a gold medal." But when I said it, I put my head down and I took my eyes off hers. So she said to me, "Why are you embarrassed by that?" I'm sure I looked confused because she asked me again, "Why are you embarrassed by that desire?" I said, "Well, I guess because I feel like if I say it out loud, people will think I'm crazy." She said, "Well, why do you care what people think? And why do you not think you're good enough for gold?" There it was again, that same question my mom had for me a few years back. Why did I not believe I was good enough? I quickly realized this was something manifesting itself even in my personal life. I settled for things or people because I didn't believe I was worth better or more. I was afraid to take risks and go for the very things my heart desired. And of course, I feared failure. This conversation even opened my eyes to the desires I had suppressed because I allowed myself to be placed in a box that oftentimes female athletes are placed into. I've made so many sacrifices over the years for my career that even my personal desires suffered. Someday I hope to not only be an Olympic gold medalist, but also a wife, a mother, a doctor, a business owner, and so much more. Why did I let this very limit that I despised for much of my career limit me? They say female athletes can't be ladylike. If they want children, they're not serious. Why was I allowing the sports world to dictate what I was good enough for or even deserving of? I thought to myself, I don't believe God put me on this earth just to be an athlete. He put me here to be an example for others and show his work. If I have so much faith in him, why do I not have enough faith to even ask for my desires? And even after asking for them, believe that he will deliver. So, this lady, who I now call my spiritual advisor, gave me homework. She told me to go home and at the top of my mirror write, "I am." Underneath it, she told me to write every positive thing I believe I am and every positive thing that I desire to be. She told me to say these I ams out loud every day. Say them when I went to bed, say them when I woke up, say them whenever I needed to shift my energy from negative to positive. Now, I not only change the negatives to positives, but I claim them. Mark chapter 11, verse 24 says, "Therefore I say to you, whatever things you ask when you pray, believe that you receive them and you will have them." When I go out into the world, I make a conscious effort to smile more. New York people, we don't smile. Because I want people around me to feel the love from inside of me. When I set out on my daily tasks, I try my best to do everything from a place of love and gratitude. I spent the last couple years falling in love with myself, my career, and God all over again. When I tell you the things that have come back to me just by making these simple changes fill me up in a way that I can't even describe, I mean it very much so. When I step on the track now, I'm not worried about the outcome. I stay focused on the present moment, on every step through my journey, one step at a time. The last prayer I say before stepping on the line, God, I know you have me no matter what. People ask me what some of my races felt like or what I did, and sometimes I can't even tell them. I allow the out-of-body experience and trust that what he has for me is for me. So, on to Rio. I made it, after not making it in 2012, at 30. I placed 4th in the individual final. So close to that individual medal, but still. I'm human, so although I put my faith in him and trusted his outcome, I was gutted. I felt numb. How could I come this far, get so close, and still no medal? I saw my mom and the rest of my family that made the trip. We cried together. They assured me they couldn't be any prouder. I went back to my room and tried to get some sleep. The next morning, I opened my phone and took a look at my social media, expecting nothing but negative comments. To my surprise, there was nothing but love and soothing words from people who watched my journey. So many said they felt that they were actually on the journey with me as I tried my best to be transparent along the way. I quickly realized I wasn't going home with the hardware I hoped for, but there was a different race I won that night. That love and gratitude that I so wanted to shine from within did. People saw my fight and determination even when the odds were against me. I remembered myself as that 10-year-old girl watching the '96 games, hoping to one day be in the very spot I was standing in. God put me here to be an example. By not giving up on the fight and keeping my faith in Him, His work still shined through what, in my human flesh, I thought was a failure. So, I still say my I ams, and yes, I'm still waiting for that husband and kids, but I say I am a wife, and I am a mother too. I believe if God can make the very thing I believed just 4 years ago to be impossible, to be my reality, He can make those same things come true too. I even believe that He has far more in store for me than I can even imagine, because I never even imagined to be able to touch so many people around the world. That was the gift that I left Rio with, a gift that I hope continues to grow over the years. So, I am beautiful, I am powerful, a champion, an Olympic gold medalist, a leader, a sister, a daughter, a wife, a mother. I am God's child. I am Natasha, and I'm not finished doing His work. Who are you, and who do you hope to be? Are you living up to your potential? Do you love yourself and know that all your heart's desires are yours because God said so? Be in your purpose and trust that whatever God has for you is for you, and claim it.
My mirror. I look like Natasha Hastings. And in just a few months, y'all are going to see a transformation. Isn't that awesome? All right, so thank you for texting your questions. We're going to ask a couple questions here. And some of them you sort of answered during your talk. But at what age did you know you wanted to be an athlete, like a professional athlete?
So I was 10 when I watched the games. Like I said, I don't remember when I started. So I was running. I left out the part that my dad used to coach, and I used to go to practice with him, and he was coaching college men. They let me beat them. I used to think I was beating them. But I don't know, I was probably like 5 or 6, but I was 10 when I knew I wanted to be an Olympian.
Mama's agreeing with all those days, right? Somebody texted and said, can we take a selfie afterwards?
Of course, I'm a selfie queen, of course.
I don't know if y'all follow her on Instagram or not, but if you're on Instagram, follow Natasha.
Please do. And my mom's a selfie queen too, don't forget
cool
that.
Joanne. Oh, me. Oh, here's a good one. I know everybody's been dying to know this. Can you hum or sing Chariots of Fire?
No.
Okay. I have a feeling I know who sent that one in. But anyway. All right. You know, I think some people got confused and they sent in a question for me. Because this one says, how many sit-ups would I have to do to get abs like yours? Was that supposed to come to me? One time, Natasha was here at church, and she had this beautiful off-white blouse. She just always looked so beautiful. Caroline was sitting beside me and said, Mama, I can see her abs through that shirt. I said, girl, you can see my abs through that shirt.
Okay, so first of all, my abs look better through my shirt than actually, yeah. I've been trying to figure that one out. I don't know how that works. I do feel like the abs thing is more of a diet thing than actual. I mean, you do have to do the work, but I feel like they look the best when I'm eating clean and lots of water.
So the 2 desserts I had probably is going to be an issue, right?
They might be.
All right. What has been your biggest challenge to your faith in the Olympic arena?
I would say, I mean, of course I mentioned not making the team in 2012, but I think in 2008, I remember sitting in the stands and it's very obvious that there's performance enhancing drugs. In some areas you can tell that it's obvious. And I remember sitting in the stands and I'd said a prayer. I asked God, is this what I am going to do professionally? At that time I was only a year professional. And I said, because if this is what I'm up against, I really don't feel like I have a shot. So even going out there and competing now and knowing that some people are cheating, it's hard to stay on the straight and narrow and still do it the right way. But I have to have belief that it can be done the right way, and so that's what kind of pushes me through. But yeah, you kind of know what you're up against.
I wasn't expecting that answer. It's interesting, yeah, okay. How do you stay focused and balanced with your career and your life?
So my mom definitely keeps me in check. I remember, I tell people this story, I think I was about in the 4th grade when I started running, and I really wasn't that great of a student, but when she figured out that I liked track, she said, okay, well, you have to maintain at least a C average to keep running, and then I just figured, well, if I have to study, I might as well go all the way. So that's what kind of made me a good student. And then the support from my mom, and then I also believe in surrounding yourself with like-minded and positive-minded people. I think that even if they don't have the same goals but similar goals, or they're trying to move forward in their career or school, it's important to stay around people like that, because it's easy to get sort of pulled down when you're with the wrong crowds.
Amen, amen. Crowds like tonight, right, Curtis? All right, what is your favorite movie of all time?
All the Harry Potter movies.
Never seen one.
Oh, I read all the books too.
All right. What, and you shared a little bit about this, I don't know if you want to expand on this a little bit. What was your mental and spiritual journey like during recovery from an injury?
Certainly. I think that I've been blessed in that I haven't had any major injuries since being a professional, but my first 2 years of college, I was actually injured pretty badly. So it was a time that I went through the whole, well, is this something that, again, can I be professional? Can I go on to the Olympics? But I went to a school, South Carolina, my coach was he was big in family and religion, Christianity. And he was big about keeping God first. And so I've always kind of been surrounded by that, and I'm always grounded by that when those times come around.
Awesome how God has provided that for you through your whole journey. And we have a track coach in the room that wants to recruit you to coach at her school. Possibly your brother's an alumni there. Anyway. Okay, this is a good question. When you're training, now you explained this a little bit to me beforehand, but what's your average training day like? So what's the training season?
Okay.
Like, when can you eat chocolate pie? You know what I'm saying? Like, ever?
Oh, before I answer this question, no one in here wants to run track, right? Or is anyone? Okay.
We have some track people in here. I know we got some in the
I know
back.
I met some in the back, but I'm always timid about answering this question because it is a lot of hard work. But so first of all, I get 6 weeks out of the year those are my 6 weeks that I don't have to train, but I end up doing something. But 6 weeks out of the entire year. And then once I am in training, I train 5 days a week. I lift 3 days a week. So my day starts at about 7 a.m. I'm in the gym at 9, the weight room. At 9, I'm there till 10:30.
and then I leave there and go to the track at 11, and I'm at the track for about 2 hours. So that's 5 days a week. That's my work day. And then after that, though, I'm like eating. I have to eat a lot.
I've never said that. I have to eat a lot.
I mean, the type of work that I'm putting in, I have to fuel my body. So, yeah, and then of course I'm doing like massage and ice baths, and it's not all glamorous. I make it look glamorous, though.
There you go, girl. That's what I love about it. That's right. I think I already know the answer to this question. Your biggest motivation. What's your biggest motivation? What motivates you?
Definitely my faith. Another thing, some people didn't know that my mom's middle name is actually Natasha. So she's probably going to be annoyed that I'm telling this story. But my mom made the Olympic team in '84 for Trinidad, and then she had me 2 years later. So back then it wasn't the same as far as like making a living, so she chose having a family and taking care of me, and then of course later having my brother. But I sort of feel like I'm finishing what she didn't get to finish. So.
Love that. Yeah. That deserves a round of applause. Love that. We got two more. What's your biggest challenge right now?
If I'm honest,
you have to be.
I have to be honest. We are in church. I just started training about a month ago, and so everyone's kind of like, well, you just came back from Rio, and it feels like I just got back from Rio. So the motivation to kind of get back into it and put just as much into it as I did last year and the years before is kind of hard because the season is so far ahead. So just kind of, I'm still kind of riding the cloud of, what's happened, but kind of hunkering down and getting back into training mode and being super focused.
I was going to show y'all what cloud she's riding. I was going to bring some hardware. I was first runner-up, Little Miss Proud of Fayette County in 2nd grade. I just wanted to point that out before I take this out, okay? So there it is. And it is heavy. How much is it weigh? I mean, it's not heavy to you. She's like, it's heavy? What's your deal, lady?
I don't know how much it weighs, but I think what's interesting is, because most people always ask, is it real gold? It's silver, plated in gold. And I think the silver medal actually is monetarily worth a little bit more than the gold medal because it's solid silver, yeah, go figure. But I just think that's an interesting fact. And no, I don't know why we bite it, but that's the first thing we do when we get it.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah, I Googled it, but there's no real reason. I don't know. Maybe we want to see if it's real gold. I don't know.
Okay, excellent. So, and I couldn't remember, are you going to be able to hang around a little bit? I know you've got a plane to catch.
I made my flight for the morning, so we'll hang around.
Yay! So she can hang around and take those selfies, and you can check out the gold medal. Well, as we wrap up, we do want to thank you so much for being with us, right, ladies? And we are very blessed to have Joanne as part of our fellowship, and we have enjoyed watching you. Paul really, every Sunday while the Olympics were going, would keep it fresh on our mind, and a lot of us in the room did sincerely pray for you, physically and mentally and spiritually, that that God would just be with you, and it sounds like our prayers were definitely answered. The last question that somebody sent in was, what's next? What's your next goal?
So I am still training, as I mentioned. We have the World Championships this summer in London. So I missed London the last time, but I will be there this time. I do plan on going to 2020, then I'll retire from track.
And we want you to come back.
Of course.
2020, right?
Of course. Okay. I'll come back in between then too. But and then I would like to have set up life for after. So I'm working on getting some businesses going, that sort of thing.
Well, we wish you nothing but the best, and we look forward to watching God's plan for your life unfold, and hope that we'll continue to be part of it. And let's just give Natasha another round of applause. All right.